clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, Adam here, and in this hypnosis session, you're going to be listening to Hypnosis to turn inertia, which is feeling stuck and not doing too much, into momentum. And momentum is where you're already in that rhythm, you're in that groove, and you're able to keep in that pace. And it was created for a client that was working in an industry of social media and marketing, but wanted to do their own thing. But they found themselves giving more time to their job and less energy and enthusiasm for their own thing. And that was causing them some frustration because they knew that they would rather be doing their own thing, but they were giving more to other people. And that's not unusual. Most people will do more for their work or more for their family than they do for themselves because it's easier to do more because there is this expectation that you have to meet a certain standard. Whereas for many people, when you do your own thing, that can feel either self-indulgent or optional, not a necessity like a job or a source of income may be. So this client felt that way. And what we agreed is certain winnable boundaries. So giving a certain amount of time per day that they would make as important as their own job or their own relationship and not compromise on it. Because if they could do 5 hours a week, then 5 hours a week over a year would actually be a significant amount of time that they could make progress. They're going to learn a lot. They can actually do things that would create new clients. This particular client also knew that they would only need about 2 clients to actually buy the thing that they were selling to justify them quitting their job. That turns this imaginary wishful thinking dream into something very tangible and very imminent. And if it is the case that you only need a couple of clients to quit your job, then it makes sense to work backwards and say, what would I need to have in place to secure these 2 clients? That might be a website, marketing information, it might be a contract or something like that. And then with those 5 hours a week, you do those things that would be a prerequisite for finding your own exit strategy. And people, I think, love the idea, particularly if they're working in a job that they don't particularly like, or they're working for a boss or a manager that they don't particularly like, is this idea of being able to fire your boss because it's a dynamic shift. And firing your boss just means quitting or resigning or doing your own thing. But notice the connotation of quitting and resigning is normally disempowering. If someone quits or resigns, it's like they've resigned to failure. But actually, resigning from a unfulfilling job that could hold you back could be one of the most empowering things that you've ever done. So if you have a dream, and that dream might be self-employment, or it might be a different project that you're excited about, and you feel that you're not making too much progress about it right now, I think that you'll get some value from this session. Even though this session has some entrepreneurial links because the client wanted to own their own business, I think the concept of turning inertia into momentum is very powerful. And that might be in fitness goals. That might be in social situations. It might be in, let's say, a side hobby or a project. But if you're not making much progress and you want to make regular progress, this is the session for you. And if you want something more bespoke and customized, then there will be a link in the description where you can schedule a completely free consultation call and we'll have a chat about working together. And if you're listening on certain devices, like a smart speaker, it's difficult to find the show notes. So in that case, check out my website, adamcox.co.uk, and you'll be able to see all the information there to schedule that free consultation call. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that calm feeling of relaxation. as you exhale. Feel a wonderful sense of release, particularly of doubts. Doubts and fears, just allow them to leave your body as you breathe out. And breathe in a feeling of ever-growing self-belief. Because that self-belief is there. But that doesn't mean it can't be strengthened, enhanced, and amplified. So as you breathe in that self-belief and exhale those doubts, just allow your body to adjust as if tension is leaving your body, and that resourceful relaxation is charging up that battery of self-belief and perhaps even determination. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to think about priorities. Many people in the world will do more for their employer or their partner than they'll do for themselves. But what if by working so hard in a job, you're increasing the value of that business and depriving yourself of building your own? I want you to get a feeling of how to break inertia. So as you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine a table, and on that table is a marble, a stationary marble, not moving. And I want you to feel that in some aspects you feel like that marble. All of this capability, all of this potential, but stationary. And then imagine giving that marble a tiny nudge. And that ball that wasn't moving is now moving and will continue to move until it either stops or falls off the edge. I want you to start thinking as to what it would take to build momentum. Allow a memory to form in your mind, a time when you were a child in a playground. And I want you to think of a child's roundabout. I want you to get a feeling that that child's roundabout, when it's stationary, requires effort to get it moving. But once it's moving, it requires very little effort to keep it moving. If your unconscious is willing to make the transition from inertia to momentum, from being stationary to moving forward, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to think of your typical working week. And I want you to imagine structuring that week to give you 5 hours of dedicated work time on your own thing. And maybe that's an hour before work when you're working from home. Or maybe it's an hour after you return from a day in the office. I want you to get a feeling that if you made that time just as a loose intention, oh, I really should do some work, probably nothing will happen. But I want you to imagine making it as important as something that you would never not do. If there's a flight that you needed to catch, it isn't optional. You will be there at the airport. If it's spending with someone you love, you will make time because it's important. Or time in your diary to do some work for someone else. You do it because it's a standard and a responsibility. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to make the time in your diary for your own thing of equal importance to what you're already willing to do for others. And maybe you can imagine seeing it like a calendar, a whole week planned out, and you can see the blocks of time. Or maybe you could imagine where you would be at certain times of the day and what working would be like. Maybe at a desk, maybe typing into a computer. If your unconscious reveals to you what this 5 hours of work would be on your own thing, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine 2 different timelines. The version of you with an intention, but still acting as if it's low priority. And the version of you that even if someone asks you to do something at that same time that you've blocked it out, you turn down that thing to do your own thing. And just imagine observing the first version of you. Vague intentions but not followed through. Perhaps see yourself 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. Still wanting, still intending, but still in inertia. And if your unconscious is crystal clear that that is a future you don't want, let me know by nodding your head. So let's imagine the other. Imagine observing you like you're an actor on a screen. Not just working in that time, but working focused, productive, intentional time. And maybe you're following checklists, working backwards and figuring out what needs to be done and doing it in order of importance. Maybe during that time, your phone is in a different room. No interruptions, no distractions. This is work time. And I want you to imagine the likely trajectory of 3 months of doing that. Maybe you've got business cards and a website, contracts and offers. Maybe you've got a social present that really communicates that you know what you're talking about. And maybe in 6 months' time, you've got 2 or 3 clients. And if you've got 2 or 3 clients, maybe you can quit that job and do this thing all of the time. And then you would see more progress. And with that more progress, see where that would take you 9 months from now. Maybe it's no longer just you. Maybe there's someone else that works alongside you. Maybe you partner with other organizations that do the bits that you can't quite do, and you help them out in the areas where they can. And then imagine a year from now. What would starting off with just 5 hours a week potentially lead to? And then compare the 2 futures. the version of you frustrated, wishful thinking but not acting, and then that other version of you that started small, built momentum, and then built on that momentum. And if you're clear that 5 hours a week is a small price to pay for a much more desirable future, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And I want you to think what you would do tomorrow that would align with that version of you. What would you do on Monday that would align with that version of you? And maybe on the weekend it's more creative thinking and learning. And on the weekdays it's more actually doing the thing, making decisions, creating. And I want you to get a feeling that a part of this journey is you being comfortable with an online presence. I want you to imagine a stream with 3 stepping stones. Stepping stone 1, you make content where people don't see your face or hear your voice. Still relevant, still helpful, still useful. They just don't know it's really you. And if you could imagine what that would be like, let me know by nodding your head and jump onto that first stepping stone. And the next stepping stone, they don't see you, but they hear you. Instead of using one of those generic AI voices, it's now your voice. You're the expert. They just don't see you yet. Maybe what they're seeing is captions, relevant imagery that supports your words, or just that stock footage that seems to make sense. And if you could imagine doing that, take a leap to that next stepping stone and nod your head. And what if the third stepping stone, what if that one was you being comfortable enough to be on camera, speaking into the microphone, being the thought leader, being the expert, maybe reacting to campaigns, maybe sharing wisdom or insight, analyzing trends. This is the future, but not too far away. And if you could imagine you with the confidence, the credibility and the competency to be doing content like that, let me know by nodding your head. And then leap onto that third stepping stone. And maybe on the other side of the stream is one step further. Maybe that's doing stuff live, appearing on high-profile podcasts, collaborating with other content creators. Whatever your unconscious lets you know is beyond, allow it to create that for you. And you don't need to do that immediately. But if your unconscious is receptive to constantly growing, evolving, becoming more and more confident, then imagine leaping to the other side of the stream, getting a sense of what that would be like. Because in order to be like that, you need to own your knowledge, own your credibility, own your expertise. Some people believe that you learn before you earn. And maybe you feel comfortable at that stage after accomplishing certain things that make you feel you're worthy of it. Or maybe you just hop, skip and jump all the way to the other side of that riverbank and feel worthy enough to do that sooner rather than later. And I want you to get a feeling that you are just a couple of clients away from being in full control of your future. And the time you spend on that 5 hours a week or more is everything that would be necessary to either acquire or work with that very first client. And if your unconscious understands and accepts, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. So it's time to return to the present, feeling that you've now set a new agreement, a new promise with yourself. You will give your thing just as much importance as those other important things in your life. And in doing so, you turn inertia into momentum, which gives you infinite, increased possibility of turning your dreams and ideas into reality. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, feel like you're floating all the way back to the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken with a newfound feeling of excitement, inspiration, but more importantly, a desire to turn thoughts into actions, actions into progress, progress into more confidence, to turn that future version of you into an inevitable destiny, starting to count 1, 2, 3, waking up, 4, 5, 6, more alert, 7, 8, open your eyes, 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.